Okay, dividing with decimals. I already did a video, or a couple of videos actually, about dividing whole numbers. Dividing with decimals is exactly the same as dividing whole numbers, except there's decimal points in the numbers, and you have to figure out where the decimal point goes in the answer. And that's it. So here's how to divide decimals. Say I have a number. I'm not specifying the number, I'm just showing you the process. Okay. If this number has no decimals in it, it's just a whole number, and say there's a decimal in this number somewhere, like let's say right here, how do you find the decimal in the answer? You go straight up. Okay? If that's where the decimal is, you go there. If that's where the decimal is, you go there. So, it's all easy. There's nothing hard about this. Do whole number division and just take your decimal and move it straight up, and you have the decimal point in your answer. Everything's good. Okay. What if you have a different situation, though? What if you have, say, this number out here, and this number in here, and let's say there's a decimal point, let's say it's there, and another decimal point, oh, how about there? Okay, so now there's a decimal point in the divisor as well as this number here. So where do we put the decimal in the answer? In fact, we can do this before we even start to divide. So here's the rule. I take the divisor, this number out in front, and I move the decimal point to the end of the number. Every time I move the decimal point one place, I'm multiplying it by 10. So in this case, I'm multiplying this number by 100 is what I'm actually doing. But if I multiply this number by 100, and if I multiply this number by 100, the answer is going to come out the same. Okay? And so the answer is going to be right there. So move it, park it, and then divide it. That's the little saying my junior high teacher taught to us when I was a kid. So move it, park it, and divide it. In other words, put the decimal in the answer is the very first thing you do. Now, just start dividing, and when you fill in the number, you're there. If there are any gaps, like for instance, you have a decimal point here, and maybe the first digit is over here, make sure you put a 0 there. You have to have zeros filling in the gaps between the decimal and wherever the number starts. Or if the division ends, make sure there's zeros that go all the way out at least to the decimal point. So that's the only thing to watch out for, but you'll figure that one out, okay? So if there's no decimals out here, just move it straight up. If there are decimals out here, move the decimal to the end of the number, count how many places you moved it, move this decimal the same number of places, and then move it up. And that's it. That's how you do it. Everything else in this problem is whole number arithmetic, so I don't need to show you that all over again. You already know how to do it. Okay, you now know how to divide with decimals.